At breakfast, my dad said, "We've booked a trip to Italy, just the 6 of us. You understand, right?" I never thought one sentence could shatter my entire sense of belonging. But that morning, over nothing more dramatic than scrambled eggs and burnt toast, my dad looked me right in the eye and said, as casually as if he were asking me to pass the salt, "We've booked a trip to Italy, just the 6 of us. You understand, right?" And I swear my brain froze, because I wasn't included in the 6. I was right there at the table, sitting 2 feet away. It was like he stabbed me with a smile and expected me to thank him for it. I didn't understand at all. And before I tell you the insanity that followed, I need to ask you honestly, was I wrong for how I reacted? Would you have stayed calm if your own parent basically told you in front of everyone that you weren't really part of the family? So let me rewind, because I know this sounds extreme. I'm 19, still living at home while trying to save up for school. My dad remarried 5 years ago, and with that came a whole assembled by hand, ready-made family situation. My stepmom, who I'll call Karen, because trust me, the name fits, brought 3 kids, twins who are 15 and a younger son who's 13. Then my dad and Karen had a baby together 2 years later, making their little family of 4 turn into 5, and apparently plus my dad makes 6. Meanwhile, I'm, a guest? A tenant? An optional accessory they sometimes remember exists? I've been trying to hold things together, telling myself it's normal for blended families to be messy and awkward. But deep down, I always felt like I was orbiting around their perfect little planet, never actually landing on it. Still, nothing prepared me for the level of exclusion I felt that morning. Breakfast at our house is usually chaotic, someone fighting over the last pancake, someone else yelling about school, and the baby throwing Cheerios like confetti at a parade. But that day, everything felt strangely calm, which should have been my first warning sign. Karen was actually smiling at me, which she never does unless my dad is in the room. The twins were whispering excitedly about beaches and gelato, and they kept glancing at their phones like they were hiding something. I didn't think much of it at first. I was just trying to wake up. Then my dad cleared his throat, the way he does when he's about to announce something big but inconvenient, and suddenly everyone went silent. "We've booked a trip to Italy," he said, smiling at Karen and then at the kids. "Just the 6 of us." And then he turned to me, expression softening in that fake sympathetic way, and added, "You understand, right?" I just blinked at him like maybe my brain needed a reboot. 6, I finally said. I looked around the table. 7 people were sitting there. 7. I could count. I knew math. Who's the 6? Dad sighed like I was being unreasonable. Me, Karen, the twins, Josh, and the baby. I stared at him. "So, not me." "That's not what I said," he replied, even though that was exactly what he said. Karen jumped in, talking in that patronizing, sweet voice she uses whenever she's pretending she cares. It's just that this is a family trip. And with the budget, space, the baby, and everything, we had to make some choices. I swear it felt like my chest caved in. I wasn't even angry at first. I was just stunned. I wasn't family enough to be included. The twins were smirking, like they'd known all along. Josh wasn't even looking at me. He was just shoveling cereal into his mouth as fast as possible to avoid the awkwardness. The baby was babbling, completely unaware that I was having an emotional meltdown in real time. I asked, "Did you seriously plan an entire international vacation and never once mention it to me until today?" My dad said, "We didn't want you to feel pressured. You've got work and your college applications and—" I cut him off. "Dad, I could have arranged time off. You didn't even give me the chance." He looked frustrated, which was unbelievable, like he was the victim. "Look, it's complicated, okay? Tickets are expensive. Rooms are limited. Traveling with a baby is hard. We had to prioritize." And there it was. The word, prioritize. They had prioritized every single person in that house, except me. I got up from the table before I said something I couldn't take back. I locked myself in my room and just sat there shaking. I know I'm technically an adult now, but that doesn't mean rejection hurts less. My dad used to be my best friend. Before Karen came into the picture, it was just the 2 of us against the world. We'd go camping together, build random DIY projects, spend hours watching movies and making popcorn at midnight. I know things change when parents remarry, but I always thought no matter what, I'd still matter. I'd still be his kid. But apparently I was wrong. Later that afternoon, Karen came to my room and knocked lightly, the way people do when they want to sound polite but don't actually respect you. She walked in without waiting for me to answer. She said she wanted to talk about earlier, but her tone made it clear she didn't want a conversation. She wanted compliance. She told me not to take things personally, that the kids were really looking forward to bonding, and that bringing me along might disrupt the balance. I don't even know what that means. The balance? I'm their sibling, not a meteor about to crash into the earth. Then she said something that made my blood boil. She told me, "You're older, so you need to understand things the younger kids can't. This trip is for them. Not everything has to include you." I felt my jaw clench. "You mean not everything has to include your husband's first kid?" I said. Her smile vanished. She told me I was being dramatic and ungrateful and that I should apologize for making everyone uncomfortable at breakfast. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because if I didn't, I would have screamed. The next few days were unbearable. Every conversation in the house revolved around the trip, what they would pack, what cities they would visit, what foods they wanted to try. They talked about it constantly, loudly, almost performatively, like they wanted to rub it in my face. Nobody asked how I felt. Nobody apologized. They acted like I was invisible. The night before they left, my dad finally came to talk to me. He knocked on my door and actually waited this time. He sat down on the edge of my bed like he used to do when I was little. For a moment, I let myself hope he'd say he changed his mind, or that he felt guilty, or that he'd at least acknowledge how badly he hurt me. Instead, he said, "I really wish you'd been more understanding about all this." More understanding. I asked him, "When did I stop being your kid? When did I become optional?" He looked genuinely confused. "You're not optional. You're just independent now. You're older. The younger ones need more attention." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So I get left out because I'm not little anymore?" He sighed. "This is turning into something bigger than it needs to be." I shook my head. "No, you made it bigger. You made it clear where I stand." He hugged me before leaving. I didn't hug him back. The next morning, they left at 4 a.m. I heard them loading the car. I didn't get out of bed. Nobody came to say goodbye. I heard someone whisper, "Be quiet, don't wake them." Them. Not me. It was like I'd stopped being part of the house entirely. And here's where the story shifts, because this is the moment where I had to make a choice. And before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a moment and think. If your dad excluded you from a family trip, acted like it was your fault for being upset, and then left without saying goodbye, what would you do? Seriously, comment below if you think I should have forgiven him, or if you would have done exactly what I did. Because I didn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. I took action. The first thing I did was pack a bag and go stay with my aunt, my mom's sister. My mom died when I was 10, and my aunt has always been like a second mother to me. When I showed up at her door with puffy eyes and shaky hands, she didn't ask questions. She just hugged me. Later, when I told her everything, she got so angry she had to go outside to calm down. She said, "Honey, you need to stop living in that house. You need to start living your own life. They don't appreciate you." She told me I could stay with her for as long as I needed. I almost cried again. I turned off my phone after that because the twins were blowing up my messages with selfies from the airport. On purpose, obviously. Karen sent me a long text about respecting boundaries. My dad sent me one message. "I'll call you tonight." He didn't. A week went by, then 2. They were in Italy, posting pictures online constantly. Gondola rides, pasta dinners, sightseeing, everything. And my dad didn't contact me even once, not even a quick text to ask if I was okay. The silence was louder than the rejection. Then something happened that I wasn't expecting. My grandmother, my dad's mom, called me. She had seen the photos online and asked why I wasn't with them. When I told her the truth, she lost it. She yelled at my dad from across an ocean. She called Karen selfish and manipulative, told them both they should be ashamed, and even threatened to cut them out of her will. My phone exploded with new messages after that. Angry ones from the twins, fake apology ones from Karen, and finally a long guilt-trippy one from my dad. He wrote, "I wish you hadn't told Grandma. You made everything 10 times worse." I replied with one sentence, "You did that all by yourself." When they got back, 3 weeks later, they expected things to go back to normal. Dad said he wanted to sit down and talk, but I told him I'd already made a decision. I wasn't coming home. I was staying with my aunt permanently. I had already enrolled in community college near her house. I had already moved most of my stuff out, and I told him something he needed to hear, even if it broke him. I said, "You had a family trip without me. Now you get a family life without me. He begged me not to throw everything away, but the truth is, he threw it away first. Karen stood behind him with her arms crossed, glaring at me like I was the villain. The younger kids looked uncomfortable, but none of them said anything. Not one of them told me they missed me. Not one of them asked me to stay. I walked out and nobody tried to stop me. It's been 3 months now. My aunt's house feels like a home. I'm finally doing things for myself. I have a job I actually enjoy. I have peace. My dad texts me sometimes, but the messages feel empty, like he wants the idea of me, not the actual responsibility that comes with being a parent. I haven't seen Karen or the kids since. I don't know if I ever will. Do I miss my dad? Yes, of course I do. But missing someone doesn't mean you have to let them keep hurting you. So if you've made it this far, here's what I've learned. Abandonment doesn't always look like someone walking out. Sometimes it looks like being left behind on purpose. If you were on my side, like this video, if you've ever been treated like the extra piece in your own family, subscribe for more stories like this. And please tell me in the comments what you think. Was I justified in cutting my dad off like that? Or should I have tried harder to fix things? I'll see you all in the next story.